Hello, everyone. My name is Leo Serrato. I'm the Fraternity and Sorority Life Advisor here at Sonoma State. Today, I'm going to do a pouring demonstration for you all with some alcohol use and misuse education, as well as facts about drinking. On college campuses across the United States, students are reporting that they're drinking at an all-time high. Approximately 40% of college students have reported that they are binge drinking at least once in a 2-week span. So what is binge drinking? Binge drinking is a male identifying body drinking 5 or more drinks in a 2-hour span, and a female identifying body drinking 4 or more drinks in a 2-hour span. So, what has changed? The way students are consuming their alcohol nowadays is completely different than that has taken place in the past. Students are no longer just drinking a beer. They are shotgunning their beers, they are icing each other, they're drinking faster than they typically have. Also, they're not drinking from shot glasses, they're taking pulls straight out of the bottle, and they're also drinking their drinks and shots from vessels like the red Solo cup, tumblers, and also these jugs. Therefore, students are taking in alcohol at a higher level and quicker. Because students are drinking this different type of way, there is a lack of awareness as to how much they're actually drinking. A standard beer is 12 ounces, and in that 12 ounces, it contains between 4 and 5% of alcohol by volume. And that's referring to your Bud Lights, your Coors Lights, your domestic type of beers like that. Craft beers and micro beers have about 6% of ABV. A standard drink of wine is about 4 to 5 ounces of wine. Contains 14 to 16% of alcohol by volume. And the standard liquor contains 40% of alcohol by volume. The standard consumption of alcohol is 1 to 1.5 ounces. So let's talk about our red Solo cup for a second. This very first line is 1 ounce of liquor. So if you're taking an average shot, it should be poured to here or slightly above here, because remember, it's 1 to 1.5 ounces. For wine, this is a 5-ounce level. So if you're drinking wine out of your red Solo cup, which I don't recommend because it's not very classy, but if you do, you're going to drink to this line. If you're drinking beer, here is your 12-ounce mark. So if we don't have any type of measuring cups around, this red Solo cup is a great way to measure what you're drinking. But let's be honest, students aren't measuring their drinks at house parties. This is what you typically see. And that is a typical pour that you see at a house party for a mixed drink. Now, let's pour this mixed drink into a measuring cup. That one pour is 8 ounces. And if we think back, to have a standard shot is 1 to 1.5 ounces. So if we're drinking a mixed drink of 8 ounces, you have already consumed 8 of the 5 ounces of alcohol that you should be consuming in a 2-hour span. And it's not taking 2 hours to drink this one mixed drink. And so that's why students are binge drinking at such a high rate. It's just the lack of knowledge and not pouring properly. So when you're going to pour a mixed drink, a typical mixed drink is 3 to 4 ounces. So it shouldn't even be going to the second red line. You should, and you can count. If you do 3, count to 3, that's going to give you about a typical mixed drink. 1, 2, 3. So let's measure that drink out. 3.5 ounces, which is a standard mixed drink. So if you're drinking one of these in an hour span, you are drinking close to the consumption that you should be drinking. And why I say an hour span is because our body metabolizes alcohol at one standard drink per hour. So if we're consuming more than that, our body isn't able to metabolize the alcohol that we're putting into our system. So we need to slow down the rate at which we're drinking. We're drinking too much, too fast. We're drinking out of vessels that aren't really made for alcohol consumption to begin with. And we're really putting ourselves in dangerous situations. Please know that I'm not telling you not to drink, because whatever you do is your choice. However, if you are going to drink, I want you to do so educated, and I want you to do so wisely, so we don't put ourselves in the predicaments where we are faced with passing out and blacking out and getting injured or injuring somebody else, because those are predicaments that we don't want to put ourselves in. But those are very real consequences of drinking. Another issue that students have with drinking at house parties is drinking from a common source. The jungle juice that is provided, or whatever other alcohol mixed drink they come up with that individuals are just scooping out and pouring into cups or dipping their cups in. One, that's gross because you don't know where other people's hands have been. And if they're dipping the cups in the drink, that's just nasty, but that's me. But you don't know what's been put in that common source alcohol. You don't know how much alcohol was put in there. Therefore, you don't know what you're consuming. Not only do you not know what alcohol was put in there, but you don't know what else was put in there. This is how roofie happens. Roofies can be in that leaving your drink unattended at a house party. You put yourself in a situation where you're allowing someone to roofie you without you even knowing. And that's also another big consequence to drinking to the point where you're not aware of your person, not aware of your surroundings, and not aware of what's happening to your individual self. So, one final thing before we wrap this up, I want you to be aware of the signs of overconsumption. And if you notice these signs, you must help that individual. I got this from the Aware, Awake, Alive campaign. So you must help. M stands for mental confusion. U, if the person is unresponsive. S, if the individual is snoring or gasping for air. T, throwing up at a high rate. H, hypothermic / cold or clammy skin. E, erratic breathing. L, the loss of consciousness. And P, paleness or blue skin. If you notice any of these signs, you must help that individual. It is our responsibility as Sonoma State students to take care of one another and save a sea wolf. So I'm going to ask you, if you notice any of those signs in anyone, please get that individual some help. So in conclusion, what are some takeaways? Drink slower. Your body can only metabolize one standardized drink per hour. So make sure that you're drinking water intermittently with your drinks. Don't drink so fast, because the faster you drink, the more your body has to metabolize, and your body can't metabolize it that fast. Therefore, you're going to get drunk faster, and that's when you're going to put yourself in dangerous situations. I'm not telling you to not drink. I'm not telling you to drink. Whatever you choose to do for you is your choice. However, if you do choose to drink, please drink responsibly. Please drink educated, and be aware of your surroundings at all times. Thank you.